Girl, I'm confused.
Yeah, me too.
Wait, let's ask chat.
Welcome to our third episode. We're in a new studio, in case you didn't realize. We're at the record shop in London.
London. Yes. Woohoo. Today we are going to be talking about everyone's favorite thing, the environment.
Yeah, around the time that we're recording this, there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of circulation of just conversations about how AI and ChatGPT specifically is really negatively impacting the environment. And obviously, we just started a podcast where we get to talk to ChatGPT all the time. So we wanted to use the opportunity to research the topic and talk to you guys about it and discuss it and see how we feel about it. And yeah, just research and see what our footprint is going to be after probably hundreds and hundreds of episodes where we use AI to help us chat.
So I guess maybe we can just first start talking about maybe a ballpark of how much energy we think chat uses, and then we can ask chat how much energy it uses. But I also think along the lines of chat GPT using energy and water, I think it's important for us to also keep in mind that potentially social media like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, we all use energy as well. So maybe we can also look into the differences, how much does Facebook use, how much does Twitter use, and also just kind of figure out what really is the deal with AI, social media in the terms of the environment. What does that carbon footprint look like, and what's our role in all of this? So
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know that I could even estimate, to be honest, how much energy is used, because I'm what units even? Pounds? Ounces? Air molecules? Good vibes? Is that what you're saying? I feel like ChatGPT uses thousands of vibes to get yeah, that's the thing. As a person who really doesn't even understand how, I mean, I have basic understandings. I'm not stupid, but I would probably have to go to school to understand how energy really uses. So I'm I don't know. I mean, someone did a really good job of explaining how with AI specifically, it's water usage that's also an issue, because the machines heat the machines servers. I guess they have to use these huge server rooms and they have to use water to cool them. And then it's using our water supply. I thought water was unlimited supply. I'm wait, are we gonna run out of water? Because how can't you just funnel water out of the ocean? Is water could we run out of water? Is that a fear that we're supposed to have? I know communities do. I know that, but that falls into politics more than it does actual resource.
That's actually a good point, because water only runs out in communities when the government's not giving them water. But is water a renewable resource? That's what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm can't you I know that this is not gonna be good. No, but I know that in school, I know, water has a cycle and it's just always cycling. But I'm so is there a set amount of water, or can you create more? You know what I mean? Because I'm I know that it's okay, it evaporates and then it rains and it's this cycle, right? So I'm is that set amount of water always gonna be used? But then I'm we have oceans of water. Isn't the whole climate change thing that the ice caps are melting, so there's gonna be too much water and we're gonna drown? So I'm you funnel water from the ocean, you get the salt out of it, water, no.
Yeah. No, reverse osmosis or something, where the water
water. And I mean, or no, you go.
Let's ask chat.
Let's ask chat. I also was gonna say it'd be so fun if one of the next episode is gonna be us doing a a tour of like a plant. Wouldn't that be fun? Like if we went on a tour of like some kind of a plant. Like you're gonna be here in March. We should do that and film it. It would be so funny. And I would actually love, I don't know if they let anybody go, but that would be so fun. And then we'd be like educated or educated.
Yeah,
And we'd
I
use a
think
high.
let's do it because, like Zac Efron does his little tours of like on different like countries and everything. Like it's like his own TV show about like nature and everything. So why can't we do it? Like,
Wait,
so
I've
yeah.
seen that. Yeah. Yeah, and like if Zac Efron can do it, then we can do it. You know? We're
Yeah.
on
Okay.
the level. Okay, so should we ask Chat, can the world run out of water?
Yes.
Can
I'm
the
scared.
world out of water, or is water just unlimited? Is it an unlimited buffet? Okay. Oh yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, chat. Okay. So it says the world cannot run out of water entirely because water is part of a closed system. The water cycle. I don't think I'm as stupid as I think I am. I'm wise. Water is not unlimited in its usable form. Many regions can face water scarcity due to. Okay, yeah, wait, that is kind of ignorant because isn't like a huge problem in like where growing up everything was about like Africa. Like growing up everyone was like, you go help Africa, like poor Africa. And it was like because they didn't have like water. And like one of the big like volunteer things that was happening, I mean I'm sure it's still happening now, but I felt like growing up it was like the biggest thing you heard about in terms of like volunteering and stuff was like creating water sources for people that don't have it in like third world
Yeah.
countries. So finite freshwater resources. So saltwater versus freshwater. About 97.5% of the Earth's water is saltwater, and there's only 2.5% freshwater. On of that freshwater, 70% is locked into glaciers and ice caps. Means there's less than 1% accessible water for humans in like rivers, lakes, and aquifers. So there does have to be a process to like create usable water. And then it says there's an overuse of aquifers. So aquifers, which are underground water reserves, are being depleted faster than they can be replenished by rainfall, especially in agricultural or heavily populated regions like the US, India, China. So we use the underground water reserves, but they're being used up really fast. Okay, so climate change impact. So rising
Yeah.
temperatures increase evaporation, they disrupt the rainfall patterns, and they lead to prolonged droughts, which is real because we have droughts here all the time. And then glacial melting. Melting glaciers, which supply fresh water to millions of people, are reducing long-term water availability. I don't really understand that. Are we like harvesting glaciers and then melting them? But if they melt on their own, it like doesn't work that way or something? Also, how are the glaciers? Okay, but anyway, so that's a point. And then it says pollution and water quality. So freshwater sources can become contaminated by industrial waste, agricultural runoff, sewage, rendering them unsafe or unusable, which is so true. And then population growth and increased demand. So as the population grows, stop having babies. Duh. As the population grows, increased water demand, and that strains our freshwater resources. So, oh my god, it's also giving us solutions on how to solve it. So let's see how we can solve water scarcity. So there are some solutions to mitigate water scarcity. First idea, which I had, is desalination. You turn seawater into freshwater with the technology, but it's energy intensive and costly. So that's like another one of those things where it's like, okay, you implement like this thing to use ocean water, whatever, make it freshwater, but then you have to create like a factory that does it, and then you're gonna have to create and then it's like a cycle. There's water recycling, so treating wastewater for reuse in irrigation industry or even drinking. That's kind of sick. And then reducing water waste through efficient irrigation, fixing leaks, and promoting water saving practices. And then obviously restoring ecosystems like wetlands, forests, and rivers, because that can improve water availability and quality. So while the total amount of water on Earth remains constant, the availability of clean, usable fresh water is limited and unevenly distributed. So without careful management, overuse and climate change could lead to water shortages in certain regions. So it's not really unlimited, especially in the forms that we need it. So, the sun. But yeah, so it's not actually like unlimited. But that is kind of still crazy that like it's a closed system. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna start tripping out if we start getting into sciencey stuff, because I'm like, that's crazy. Like, the Earth just created this system that just works. Like, that's so strange, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that is
You know what I?
actually crazy.
Yeah. Like, it
And
just like there's a
it's
system
been
that just exists.
and it's been working for like thousands of years. Like it's not like, okay, it's like a new system, but it's like the earth has really been like replenishing and taking care of itself since like the beginning of time. And like, what are we doing to also just make sure that it can keep doing that, that it can keep replenishing itself and surviving? So I do think it's really crazy that it's like we can also work together with the earth to make sure that it can stay like a very beautiful closed system and cycle.
Yeah, like how sad that we just like take for granted the earth that we live on, as if it's like, like I feel like it's like a gift that's been given to us to be able to live in such a beautiful place. And like there, like nature is so beautiful and all it does is give back to us. It would be so cool if we created like societies and built infrastructures and like whatever that actually like worked alongside like nature, to where it's like as you build, somehow it's like also really like coexisting with like the nature around you and stuff, instead of like just taking away from it. It is sad. Oh my god, and I don't want the earth to just turn into these stupid buildings. Like, let's tear all the buildings down. Let's all just. But yeah, that is actually so sad. It's like we just
It
need to make sure that we're doing better.
yeah, it is sad. And like even like you talking about like wanting those communities that are like working with the earth. I feel like there's so many of them out there, but it's like so like they're the ones who are just like getting along doing the work and we don't hear about it. It'd be really interesting like here if any of our listeners are in their own little commune, we might want to do an interview with you and get to know a bit more about like where you're based, what you're doing for the environment, because I feel like that's something I would like love to visit or like live on, like after I'm done with London and the big cities and everything.
Yeah.
Because I do think this many varieties are out there. They're just not like in London, or they're not in Texas, definitely not Texas.
But I mean, I know. Well, actually, in Austin, I'm sure there's like a few little things like that. Like, I know a few of my friends lived in like, I don't know that it's like a commune, but I forgot what it's called. A co-op? Is it a
Yeah,
co-op? But
co-op.
something where like you like trade services for food, and like one of my friends like volunteered at a farm on the weekends for food, so she would help, like she would go to the farm and she would like help with all the things that they need, and then they would just give her like produce at the end of it. For So there are like things that I do think on an individual basis, and definitely in Texas there's, and I'm sure every single place in the world, there's definitely organizations that you can join that have like little things where it's like a river cleanup, or like go to the shore and clean up the shore, or like find something in the, like there's so many like you said, it's more like, are you looking for those communities, or are you just like, oh well. And it's like I don't really spend time looking for those communities, but now that we're talking about it, I'm like, actually that would be like a really, fun thing to be a part of. And like it would like help you on an individual level be like more involved. But I'm sure there's so many incredible organizations that work on like ocean conservation and like whatever within your community, finding ways to like reduce your own personal footprint. And like I personally struggle with that because my water here is not like filtered, and then I get all these water bottles and I'm like, I really need to stop. So I feel like I could like definitely be better, and I know like each of us could obviously do better, but And now with chat, like I just don't know. It's just too much. No, and obviously we're also in a really sad time, like a really, really sad time in America because it's been like 1 week of having this new president, and within that 1 week all the environmental things have been like shut down pretty much. So it's just not going to be a priority, and it's not going to, the regulations are going to go way down on that, and no one's going to care. So, but yeah.
Oh,
This is a sad
that's
episode.
sad.
No, I know. It actually, we both start crying. No, but it is actually really sad. Like, there's so many things in the world that can be really, like, overwhelming to think about. And, like, climate change is one of those things. But at the same time, like, I guess you have to just not be sad and just be active and just, like, accept that you have to, like, live in a world where not everyone is going to have the same mindset as you, and just focus on
You
like
have
your
to,
individual.
you have to do your part and then find like-minded people who are also doing their part, and then know that you guys are making like a little bit of the change in the world that's needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make sure that our impact is not negative. I don't really think that like the AI sector is gonna grow regardless, and I don't think that. I don't know, actually. Let's continue to investigate it. So we figured out that water is unlimited, but not in the usable form. It's not unlimited, but there is a certain amount that's also always being like cycled. But yeah, we need to work on more like usable forms.
And we were talking about water due to AI, like having to use water to pull off the servers that are creating the like Chat GPT system. So let's ask Chat, I guess maybe just about like its impact as opposed to also like social media's impact, maybe the internet in general.
So should we specifically ask it about the water? Like, should we be like, how does the growing AI sector, GPT, whatever, impact like water scarcity? Should we do that, or should we just be like comparing energy, like we said? Like, should we be like, what units is energy measured in?
Yeah, let's compare maybe like energy consumption of ChatGPT to like social media.
Okay, can you give us energy consumption report comparison for ChatGPT, other AI things, like I don't know, other AI, and major social media companies, and then also like just the top companies, like let's do like Tesla, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, because that's the thing. I'm like, there's these top like 5 to 10 companies, not even like 5 companies that literally control everything. Like Meta has their fingers in everything, Google does everything, Tesla does everything, and it's like they're the companies that have the most money in the world, the most like control and power, and like that all falls into their hands. Like, how can we say that we as an individual, like me using my little plastic straw, is more impactful than these people that run like all of the energy sources of the, like, come on. But maybe they do some positive things. Tell me I'm happy. We're gonna have to end on a positive note because I can't take this. Okay, you ready? Assessing the energy consumption of AI models like ChatGPT, other AI systems, major social media platforms, and leading tech companies reveals significant variation. So let's see. So ChatGPT and AI models. So training energy consumption. So for training large AI models, it's very energy intensive. So training GPT-3 consumed approximately 10 gigawatt hours of electricity, comparable to the annual usage of over 1,000 US households. So 10 gigawatt hours of electricity is how much about 1,000 households would use, and that's how much ChatGPT used for just training
And how
it.
long?
Um,
Uh,
each, yeah, it didn't specify. And then it says each query to ChatGPT consumes about 2.9 watt hours of energy, which is 10 times the standard Google search. So every time you do a Google search, it consumes a certain amount of energy, but it's saying that with ChatGPT, it's about 10 times the standard Google search. So it takes more energy to do a ChatGPT search than a Google search. Okay, that gives us a general idea. So Google's electricity consumption reached 25.3 terawatt hours, surpassing the annual usage of countries like Libya. Libya?
oh,
So
Libya,
Google
yeah.
in 2003 used more electricity than a whole country. 2.53 terawatts, which I don't know the difference between a terawatt and a gigawatt, but I think it's way more than a gigawatt. The same
Yeah.
The same year, Microsoft consumed approximately 23.6 terawatt hours of electricity, exceeding the consumption of nations like Jordan and Iceland. And obviously Libya, because that's more than what Google did. Meta, which is like Facebook, used 15.3 terawatts, which is comparable to the consumption of Cuba and Angola. Amazon, while specific figures for so Amazon hasn't really like released it, but they've actively been exploring nuclear energy options to meet growing power demands. So they're like doing research to try to expand their energy options. Tesla's energy consumption is multifaceted, so they have their electric vehicle production and energy products like the Megapack. The average vehicle consumes 34 kilowatts per 100 miles driven. I don't know, like that wasn't really helpful. So chat, that wasn't really helpful. But so Tesla and Amazon doesn't seem like they're specific figures, but the others for sure. So the energy consumption of AI models, particularly during training phases, is substantial, but often represents a fraction of the total energy usage of major tech companies. For example, while training GPT-3 consumed around 10 gigawatts, companies like Google, Microsoft consume over 23,000 gigawatts annually. However, as AI applications expand, their share of energy consumption is expected to grow, prompting these tech giants to seek more sustainable energy solutions, including investments in nuclear power and renewable energy resources. So, because like all of those companies, if you think about it, like yes, ChatGPT is like whatever its own like AI model, but like those companies, like Meta now uses AI, like Instagram starting to have its own AI model or whatever. So they're gonna also start implementing that. So it's saying maybe they'll be pushed to see more sustainable energy sources, but right now they consume less energy. But as AI technologies grow, their energy footprint is going to increase, obviously, and it also yeah, it's just saying it's important to develop energy efficient AI technologies and integrate sustainable energy practices, which that is important. But again, like we said, when the politics impacts that so much, if you're not being incentivized by like the government or there aren't like strict regulations on that, who's really gonna like funnel their resources? So basically it's just saying like as the AI sector grows, then the other companies like Google, whatever, they're gonna have their own like AI model. So I was talking about how like Meta, for example, like has their own model because you can already see like on Instagram they have like they're starting to implement AI and stuff. So I'm like they're gonna start having their own versions of AI. So it's important to use like more energy efficient, but if you're not being incentivized by the government or there aren't regulations by the government, like who's really going to funnel their resources into being energy efficient if they're not really being like pushed to do that, That's all what I was saying. Because like a lot of the times like
Yeah.
there's incentives like from the government, like if you're energy efficient, maybe you get like like a tax cut or like a I don't know whatever else, and it's like if you don't have that, then you're not really gonna. And then on top of it, the regulations have gone way down. Then I don't know that people are gonna prioritize efficiency, energy efficiency.
Another thing is that I do think that it is like a bit shocking to hear that like in like this year Google use this much energy more than like Libya, Iceland, whatever. But if you also think about it, like there are billions of people using like
Yeah,
Google or
yeah,
Microsoft, and these countries have a population of maybe like 1 million or 2 million or something. Maybe not that low. You know what I mean?
let's see.
So yeah, see what the population of like Libya is, and maybe like I'm like maybe Google will go.
Maybe
um
Google. Oh, 7 million.
because okay, yeah.
Okay, that's still not that much. I feel like how many people are in Texas? I mean, but you're totally right because like everyone uses Google like in the entire world versus like one country. It's like every single person in Libya use. Okay, we're so disconnected right now in terms of.
Iceland Iceland has a population of like 400,000 people,
Yeah,
which
Iceland's
is
really small. Also, to compare, so Libya has 7 million and Texas has 31 million. So just one
so
state in the U.S. has 31 million. Yeah.
So, yeah, it sounds a bit insane, like knowing that like these platforms are using a lot more energy than a country, but like when you're choosing countries with very little population, I think that you're like kind of skewing the perception or like skewing the narrative. I think it's
Yeah.
important to keep in mind that like okay, that means nothing that like people like the whole world use more energy than Iceland, especially like
Yeah.
comparing Iceland. We've both been to Iceland and we see how like environmentally friendly and sustainable they are, but combining that with having such a small population in the first place, that's definitely going to be like all of those factors are going to be the reason as to why.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like maybe if you're comparing like how much does Google in America versus Google in like China or something use, like we need to figure out how these bigger countries are being impacted. I also asked how does individual use of Instagram, Twitter, TikTok impact the environment? Just in case we're curious, like how our individual use of certain apps and stuff on our phone impacts. So it says that the individual use impacts the environment primarily through their reliance on data centers. So it's the same thing, like the same issue that was happening with AI. And it says basically the data centers consume large amount of energy. So they gave a little breakdown. ChatGPT gave a little breakdown. It said energy consumption. So data centers, every action you take on these platforms, posting a photo, watching a video, scrolling, requires energy to process and store data in data centers, and they're powered by electricity. So every time you're scrolling TikTok for 10 hours, check your screen time, you're like contributing to that. So like we're all doing it all the time, every single day. We're all addicts. Video content, it says platforms like TikTok and Instagram with Reels are video heavy, and streaming videos uses more energy than text or image based activities, and it adds up to billions of hours streamed daily. Then device usage, so computers and smartphones using these platforms requires electricity for charging. That also will add to the carbon footprint. It says about charging a smartphone for a year is about 11 kilograms of CO2, whatever that means.
Mm.
The internet infrastructure supporting globally, the internet accounts for globally, the internet accounts for 2 to 3% of total greenhouse gas emissions, similar to the aviation industry. So the internet and the aviation industry have about the same amount of greenhouse gases. So the next question we should ask is, what is the largest source of? I feel like it's going to be oil, or like so e-waste, like any old devices that you have go to the dump or whatever, landfills, and then they will release toxic chemicals because they're difficult to recycle. Then, of course, behavioral influence. There's a lot of consumption culture, traveling for content. So social media promotes like consumption patterns like fast fashion, tech gadgets, travel, which contributes to environmental degradation through increased consumerism, which is so real. I feel like that's within probably the past like 5 to 10 years, like consumerism has gone up by like a billion because we're constant. Like everything is the whole point of influencers and like content creators is like promoting products. Like
Yeah.
sometimes they're digital, but a lot of the times it's like promoting like I got this thing off Amazon and my life is so much better. And then you're like, well, I mean, like TikTok shop, everyone's buying the stupidest stuff. Yeah. And then I guess traveling more adds to carbon footprint, but like never stop traveling. At least with that, you're gaining like something like experience. Like at least that's like not like, oh, like fast fashion versus like, oh, you're traveling for content. It's like, okay, you're probably gonna like shift your perspective if you're traveling, hopefully, or something useful. And then water usage, again, data centers use significant amounts of water to cool their servers. So this is like why I was frustrated with everyone being like AI and water, whatever. And it's like that's been happening forever. Like AI is not the only thing that uses a data center. Like you're seeing right now that all of the streaming, like every platform, every social media thing you've ever used uses this just because someone discovered it and made it go viral. Like, oh my God, they're using water to cool the chat GPT thing. It's like that's how data centers obviously cool their servers, and they've been doing it for as long as you've been using your phone. So let's not like blow things out of proportion and try to like make it this huge movement when it's like, if you really care that much, if you're really someone that cares that much and you're spreading that information on social media, you would have the education to know that AI is not the only thing that's been using that. Like, yes, maybe the point people are trying to make is about to get worse because AI is about to like blow up, but I don't know. So the carbon footprint of the average social media user, a single tweet is 0.02 grams of CO2. So every time you tweet, think about if it's worth it. Make sure it's worth it. But yeah, so
What about
wait, this is a really good comparison. It says using Instagram for an hour daily over a year is about 100 kilograms of CO2, which is equivalent to driving a car 250 miles. So an hour of Instagram a year is the same as driving your car 250 miles. And I know y'all are on Instagram more than an hour a day. So.
what about retweets?
You're like, oh my God. I think it's the same because a retweet is the same as a tweet. It's not like because you write the tweet and tweet it. No, it is because it's still, when you retweet something, it's generating a tweet on your personal like feed or whatever thread thing. So a retweet is the same. So every time you retweet something, ask yourself, is this worth 0.02 grams of CO2? Okay, so here are your strategies. I feel like you should read them. I feel like I'm talking too much in this episode. But there's here, read this.
You can read it. I have things to say. We can read the strategies and
Okay, so this is mitigation strategies for individuals. So if you're an individual, you're listening to this, you're freaking out, oh my God, should I throw my phone away? This is what you could do. You can reduce your screen time. Less time on social media will lower your personal energy consumption. Stream consciously. Avoid streaming videos in high def unless it's necessary. Using Wi-Fi instead of mobile data. Wi-Fi is more energy efficient than mobile networks. Choose green energy providers. So support energy providers and platforms that use renewable energy for their data centers. That's a really good one. Like your money and anything that you use, every time you like use a platform, every time you pay for something, any kind of payment, I feel like that's your political statement. Like if you really have a belief and maybe you didn't get the president you wanted or you don't have like the representation that you want, your money is actually a greater political statement anyways, where you put your money. Avoid frequent device upgrades. Oh yeah, like use your devices longer, which is like facts. Like I'm gonna keep my car forever. I'm gonna keep my phone forever. Like there, unless it's broken, I don't want to upgrade it.
I'm still
Unless
on
it's AirPods.
I'm still on the XR.
What? Oh, the 10. Is
iPhone
that 10?
It was around the 10, so I still have an iPhone XR from 2018 or something.
Yeah, I want to keep mine for like 20 years.
What do you have?
I think I have like the 13 or
Oh
something.
yeah, yeah. Okay, good,
I've
good, good.
a long time. I'm pretty honestly like I think growing up, like I like when I go to my parents' house, I'm always like throw stuff away. Like I want to have less stuff. I hate having so much stuff. I like love selling things and getting rid of things. Like I'm like I literally the most freeing thing is probably being like, okay, I have my phone and a backpack of stuff and like that's all I have to worry about. Because I feel like the more stuff you have, the more like mental like real estate is like I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Rid me, free me.
Yeah. Um, I think that like this has been like a huge like learning like process like encounter for both of us. I know I didn't know like 90% of this stuff. I just knew like the basics like of what we were going to be talking about today. But I think it helps us to reiterate to everyone that like there's kind of no escaping like harming or damaging the environment. Like the best thing that you can do is to, like Amna said, put your money where your mouth is. So like make sure you're buying like eco-sustainable things. Make sure that you aren't like just like wasting money like with overconsumption, like the Stanley Cup or like, you know, like the latest like iPhone, all of those things. And then also like if you're able to like donate either like your time, your energy, like resources, like Amna said, oh, she doesn't really like keeping a lot of things. So then like what can you give back to the world? Like what clothes can you donate? What like old, I don't know, like baking ware, like cooking ware, can you donate? Stuff that you're not using that another family could very easily use. So it's important to like recognize like, okay, yes, like ChatGPT uses energy, my phone uses energy. Like I'm going to now figure out how I can like keep making sure that the world is better, even though I am having this impact. And when I was like an assistant residence director, I actually was trying to like pilot having like blackout nights or blackout days where like the whole like building, it was a residence hall of like 500 or 600 like freshmen and stuff. Like everyone like turns off their lights and their electronics and we just kind of like talk, hang out and play board games or something like where we're just like all like not using our energy. And maybe that's something you can even do in your home like one night like okay, we're lighting candles, although maybe candles releases something into the environment. I don't know. Um, like we're just lighting candles and we're like going to like have a chill time playing like board games or just like meditating, you know, or like journaling or reading. And you can do that for a couple of hours. And I feel like doing that a couple of hours, like whether that's like once a month, every other month, I feel like that is going to make a big impact as well. And it's like if the whole world did that, imagine how much more we could go up against those big corporations that are kind of taking the piss with using all the energy. Because right now like we literally can't do anything about that. Like it takes numbers to like boycott and to
Yeah.
and it's like we don't have those numbers. Unfortunately, people are too comfortable. Like people are
Yeah.
okay, yeah, maybe I can boycott Amazon for a week, but I can't do it longer than that. And then if we only have 10 people boycotting, well, we're gonna need like half of their users, you know, to be boycotting to make an impact. And that like virtually it's all possible because with manifestation everything's possible, but that's pretty impossible right now. Like
No, I also think that's like the power of social media. Like I like even with TikTok, like during all of the like genocide and everything that was happening, like everyone coming together to be like, this is what we're gonna do, and like a lot of people did it with like boycotts and stuff like that. But I do think it's like what you said, like comfortableness, like when these things become such a part, like Amazon and all these things, like Uber Eats, blah blah whatever, like all this, it becomes a part of like your day to day habits and like your lifestyle. It is hard to be like, okay, like I'm really, really passionate about this, but also like, okay, I need my groceries delivered today. Or like, okay, I need like to buy this thing off Amazon or like I whatever. So it's like you kind of have to make like a lifestyle shift around like the values and things that you feel really passionate about. And I feel like even with us having this conversation, like I'm thinking about it more and I'm like, yeah, actually this is something important to me. This is something that I really care about. And like on an individual, it's really easy to be like, I like feel powerless and like my individual impact doesn't matter, but your individual impact influences your personal community, which like influences those people's communities, which influences other communities. And if you start to use like social media to promote your lifestyle or changes that you're making, if you like use all these things, you're using what power you do have, and you don't know if that's going to grow over time or whatever, to make some kind of like influence towards better. And I feel like it is hard because like even people that are in a position where they're like content creators or influencers, they're getting paid by sponsorships. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna get paid because they're sponsored by a company that's like, oh, I want to sell this lip gloss and I want to use the lip gloss, and they're like now have to decide between getting their paycheck or their values and their morals or their footprint, whatever. It's like it is a little bit more complex, so I don't think like each person needs to feel that guilty about it, but you can just think about like what you do that you feel like you can shift, or like where you're gonna take a stand, or how you're gonna like make a statement. But I do think you're right. Like if the communities that really believe in this, which I actually think is greater than like, especially right now in America, like everyone's making it seem like, oh God, the whole country is red and I feel so proud. But it's like, no, it was like almost 50-50 split. Like there's a huge bunch of us that disagree with including the people that voted in that direction, probably disagree with a lot of the speech that will get spewed out and the things that, it's like they were just maybe making a choice that felt whatever. I'm not gonna make excuses for people, but like, I'm just saying, I think it's a bigger community than we think, and I do think that like if people really took it seriously, yeah, you can make a huge political statement, and the strongest communicator of that is money, because that's like money speaks the loudest. Like money is the whole basis of especially America and most of the world. So yeah, maybe just start like investigating what you are supporting. Like even if you vote a certain way, like let's say people go and they vote for a person that like their person that they think it cares about the environment, does it, but how are you voting using your money? Are you still like using your money to support companies and to support things that don't? And it's like that might go further than your vote does, so maybe we all need to do like a little audit, a self audit of like, what am I actually, or my daily actions actually fully aligned with my values, or are there little shifts that I can make that will create like larger impact than I think, I guess.
100%. You could like post all day and night about like boycotting Zara, like for like if you could like be like, oh, boycott Zara, but then you see something on sale on Zara and you're like, oh my God, that's on sale, like ugh, like I have to have it. It's like, okay, like what you've just done is shown us that like you're still giving money. You could have given your energy to like going on and posting on social media, but then if you're giving your money, that's kind of like showing like not just anyone but just yourself. That's showing yourself like, okay, like my money isn't where my mouth is, because my money's going into this like really cute top or something that like it was on sale, when it could have been like, okay, yeah, I'm not getting it, like I'm gonna like keep on going. So I do think like boycotting also takes consistency, and it's like a commitment to do. And I know we're also still like getting Starbucks and stuff, and like you just kind of have to like
I actually have gotten way better about that. Like I walk every single day to my local coffee place now, or I just get it at home. But like, yeah. And even with like boycott Zara, but then you go and like buy something off Shein, and it's like, no, like it has to be a lifestyle shift of like move away from fast fashion. There's enough clothes as of right now that have been made already. Why don't you just wear the clothes you have? Donate. Like there's a place out here that I actually love. I'm like so in love with the person that started this little incredible community out here, but she does like closet sales where everybody will bring clothes and like trade like clothes, or they'll do like markets where people bring their clothes and sell. And it's like, if you, instead of like, you know, you can go to your thrifts and stuff, but I know we've also personally talked about how that sometimes is like, thrifting culture has shifted from like those were made for more like lower income people, and now like the thrift girlies go and like steal all the good finds, and it's like, this isn't for you, girl. But instead of that, like you can do like, even with your friends, you could like on a Friday night or Saturday night be like, we're gonna have a closet switch party, a clothes swap, and you're gonna bring your clothes you're trying to get rid of, I'm gonna bring my clothes, and we can swap. Or like just find ways where you're like minimizing your consumption, because I think our level of consumption has gone up way past like what anybody needs. That's how I feel for myself. Like every time I want to buy something new, I'm like, I don't need any more things. Everything I need. I used to have that written on my whiteboard because I had this realization. No, I really did, where it's like everything you need is already here. And it was kind of just like a general statement that I wanted to like really like seep into my brain, because there were so many times where I'd be in my apartment, I'd be like, dang, I have this project I want to do, I need this for it. And I'd be like walking out the door to buy things for a project, and then I'd look around and I'd be like, I have everything I need in my apartment. Like if I need batteries, I already have them. It's like, maybe because your stuff is a mess, or maybe because you don't have a mental note, but it's like, are you actually looking at what you have and making sure that you don't already have everything that you need? And do you really need to buy this thing? Or is there a different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like so like little things where, again, it's like self-audit. Like, are you actually looking at like your life and how you live it, and whether there's better ways to do it? And I think it's a lot of pressure to put on the individual. Like there's a lot of people that just, we're privileged that we have the time to sit here and talk about this, and to be like, oh, I have this extra time to really think about the intentionality of every decision I make. Some people don't have that privilege, but if you are in a position of privilege, then use it. Like use that to be like, okay, I'm in a position where I can be very intentional about the things that I do. And I think the more and more like settled into life that you are, the more whatever, the more your, I guess, level of responsibility goes up. Like you need to start taking more accountability, more responsibility, because you are in a position where you have that opportunity to make more of a difference than people that are like a single mom with 3 kids that doesn't even have time to think. She's like, I'm gonna do whatever works, like don't come at me. And it's like, okay, that's fair. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like pressuring people that are in tight situations, you know? But
yeah, of course. I think the like moral of the story is like figure out what works for you, and then like just do that, and know that like you're doing your best. So like if you're a single mom with 3 kids and you're like, okay, like I want to walk one of my kids to school today because the school's like a 15-minute walk, but like a 3-minute drive or something, you know, it's like that's what works for you, and you might not ever have the time or energy to do that again. But you know, it's like you tried, you did your best, you did it once. So it's like just figuring out like what does like making the world a better place in my own eyes look like, and then just like doing that, because I think that there's a lot of us who could be doing more, not because like we should be, but because like this is our home, like the earth is our homes, like, and we should be taking care of it.
Yeah, and like it's just so sad. I'm like, the earth is so beautiful, and all like everything that exists is like for us. Like this earth was the only reason that like we have gotten to the point that we are. It's like because there's like nature's always been giving back to us, is how I feel. I'm like, the trees make oxygen for us to breathe, and like the ocean, I don't know what it does, provides water, whatever, food, and like whatever, like I don't know how to word it, but like the earth was created for us to be able to like be a part of it. And it's like, so it almost feels like, you know, like people call it mother nature, and I'm like, it literally feels like when you're a kid and your mom literally sacrifices her life for you, like just gives and gives and gives, but you're like kind of a snob of a child that's being ungrateful, and you're just like, ugh, my mom's so annoying, like, ugh, why do you always tell me what to do? Because you don't have the larger perspective. And then you get older and you step into like a level of understanding, and you can recognize like, wow, my mom like actually sacrificed everything for me. Her whole life's purpose was to give to me. She gave me life. She sacrificed all the, and I know not everyone has that experience, but just like in general, like Like everything needs a disclaimer. But you know, that whole concept, and it's like that's what it feels like. It feels like we're constantly being like given all these things, and if you like shift your mindset towards like gratitude, you can like build like all of life can be like a super symbiotic relationship where we're all like uplifting each other and building off each other and expanding into like better, instead of like kind of like, you know, they're like greed takes over and all these other things that just kind of destroy it. I do also want to touch on the dangers of social media in terms of all of this stuff. Because earlier when we were saying like, oh, posting about boycotting, but then going and buying the thing or like whatever, I think one of the really annoying trends that happens on social media is that you want to be viewed like political things are almost like trends where everybody's like, wants to post about it. I'm going to share the story because all my friends are posting the story, or I want to feel this like self-righteousness of like being like, I care and you don't care enough, and da da da, and like being really loud about your political stance, being really loud about what you believe in, so that for an audience, no, but you know what I mean? Like being really loud about it for an audience, but then like you don't necessarily have to do that. Like, yes, you sharing and posting is important, but it's also like way more important what you do day to day than it is whether you're posting and telling people about it. And I think like some things come off as just like it's a trend to be on that side. Like it's more about proving what side you're on and proving whatever, but it's like you reposting the story is not going to be as impactful as like just changing your lifestyle a little bit, or like just like pouring into the local communities and stuff like that, and like you don't even have to post the story, you can just go do the thing. And just because I feel like sometimes it is more of like a trending thing, and then also like doing research. Don't just listen to the trendy thing like everyone's now saying, oh chat, oh da da da. If you have something that pops up on your feed that you feel maybe passionate about or triggered by, go do your own personal research and build your own individual opinion about it. You know what I mean? Like form strong opinions based off information. There's so many times where things happen and I'm like, I have to be honest, I don't know. Like I read the headline and that's it. And like I saw the story about it, but I didn't go investigate it. And the only way to have a true opinion about something that is enough to change your lifestyle or to make a change is you have to actually give a fuck and like go read about it and go do deep research, whether it's like light research like what we just did in this episode, or whether you're actually like really investigating in the ways that you can figure out the truth and then like do, you know, like apply it to your life. But don't just, oh, my favorite influencer posted that she's upset about this, so I'm gonna make everyone else feel bad and share the story even though I didn't even, you know, most people do that. They're like, I read the headline and then I shared the story and now I feel like a level of self-righteousness that I'm like, I'm involved and I care. And it's like, if you really care, then just care, like through your actions, and like take some action towards it. And you can't be passionate about everything. You know, like everyone's going to have their 2 or 3 things that is their place to take action. You can't do everything.
So. Yeah. I do wonder if some people post like to also just try to inform and spread the information to other people who might not be like as like woke. And I hate that like the Republicans have like tried to make woke like a bad thing when like it's been around for like ages, and it's been mostly in like Black and brown communities as just like being aware of like agendas and what's happening. So I do wonder if people are also like sharing things to like wake people up. I feel like you're not talking about those people, you're talking about the people who are like specifically doing it just to like be like, oh yeah, I'm also involved, I'm also like a part of it. Which is like, that does suck, but like if there's some of their community or people who are like, oh, I don't really know like what this is, then it is like, I guess it's that like flip side of like, oh, they're still like spreading the word across and everything. Yeah. And then I also feel like if their intentions really aren't pure, like that will come out in time. Like maybe someone will be like, oh, hey, I'm going to this protest tomorrow, do you want to join me? And they're like, oh, actually no. And then it's like, okay, but you've just posted that you like care about this a lot, and now you're not able to go to the protest. So maybe those true, like their true intentions will always be brought out to light, like at some point. And then I do think, because I was kind of thinking about it, I was like, oh, there's so many things to protest for so many different reasons. I think that you can like do your best to be informed and then like try to like act on everything that you can, but I do think that if you like looked at every single issue in the world that like you care about or that you should care about, I think like someone would go crazy and be like really overwhelmed, like because there's like
Yeah.
like there's so many different like genocides right now. There's so many different people being like oppressed. There's like all these deportations happening like in the States now. There's like refugee camps like in Australia. Like there's like so much like the climate change and then like a and then like bombs and everything. Like I just feel like homelessness.
Yeah.
I do feel like it is hard to be like truly passionate about like every single thing, but I only think it's because you would literally get like so overwhelmed and you'd probably spread yourself so thin trying to like figure out how you can help in every department. And maybe like it's about seeing like what you can do right around you. Like, okay, yeah, like climate change bothers me. I can like donate like $1 every month or something. I don't know. Like, like that's my capacity is like $5 every month. But I've noticed that there's like, I live in LA and there's a homeless encampment. Like, I want to like volunteer at the food shelter every week or something, like doing small things like that. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's something happening with like genocides. There's something I can do about that. Like, let me again do my part, like in my city or like in my community and see what I can do. So it's also like, I know this episode is about like AI and climate change and everything, but like I guess the overall like theme is to just figure out like what truly moves you, like where you want to see like your time, efforts, and money go to making the world a better place, and then just do that. And like don't feel like you have to also hop on something because everyone else is hopping on it, But also a lot of these things are connected as well. Like that's important to remember is that like climate change is connected to like homelessness and like the oppression happening in Gaza is that can be compared to oppression happening all around other places in the world. And so yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot. It's a heavy episode.
No, it's a lot, but I do think that's like the point I was trying to make too with the like just pick. Like every person has their like I don't want to say your purpose because I think that like goes deeper for each person, but it's like everyone like it's even outside in your life like everyone has their different like job. Like not everyone's going to do the same job, but we all like hold a role and everyone has their place in the world. So it's more like you said, like find what moves you and then just move towards that. Because if you're most moved by like ocean conservation, the world is going to better like benefit more from you pouring in your heart towards what you're passionate about and really going all in. And like you never know how far you can go with it, rather than you trying to like be like I want to fix all the world's problems. It's like no, like find your personal purpose, because each individual has their own calling. And if you're trying to just be like I just want to be a good perfect person and help in everything, and it's like you can be overwhelmed by the whole state of the world, but you have to also like follow the path of your life without, because overwhelming yourself is just going to stop you. But it's more like it's really sticking to my head and really bothering me. Like I really feel passionate about like nature. I really feel passionate about climate change. Take the steps to just like make sure that you're dedicating time towards that, or like if you're really passionate about like homelessness in your community, go to like just do whatever you feel called to do, and just know that that's enough. Like that's already enough that you're taking those steps, and you don't know where it's going to take you, and you don't know how large your impact can eventually be. So it's like just about like taking the steps. I really think it's just like the first step, like you said, is like educating yourself, which is really helpful with social media and stuff, as long as you're checking your sources and making sure you're like building your own individual research. Like educate yourself, and then find like do a self audit and find ways in your life that you can shift your lifestyle to align with your values and your beliefs. And then like get involved in your personal local communities, get involved in like projects that you whatever you feel passionate about, whatever, and then just see where it goes from there. It's really like that simple. It's just like awareness, education, and just take some inspired action, and you'll make a difference, and you'll feel so aligned and happy.
Yeah, and if you're like me, someone who feels like they need to like change everything and dip their feet in everything, I would say to just know that you have a whole lifetime as well to like make a change.
Absolutely.
So so like Amna said, figure out right now like what means the most to you and do that. And if you do that for 5 years, 10 years, and you're like, okay, like I'm 40 now, and actually like I worked on homelessness from like 28 to 40, and now I want to actually shift to ocean stuff. Like then do
Yeah.
that. Or like, oh, I'm in my 60s, I want to start volunteering at like I don't know, like a refugee shelter, like a battered women shelter. Then like you can do that too. Like definitely like in this moment figure out like how can I make my change? Like how can I be consistent with like the research that I've done with what I know needs to be changed. And then like it's okay if you're like, okay, but I want to do this as well. That will come in time. Like if that's on your heart now, it will be on your heart in 5 years or when it's time for you to also shift your focus to that too.
Yeah. It's like just follow your life path, but just make sure you're actually acting on the things you're passionate about and you're not letting being complacent like take over your life. I think that like that's something that I definitely struggle with is like feeling powerless and being like, well, it's not gonna make a difference. Like I give up, whatever. And it's like complacency is like pretty dangerous because like not recognizing or trying to rid yourself of the responsibility by being like it doesn't matter anyways is like a dangerous way to think about it because it's like but it does matter and it's harder to take the accountability of like who I am and what I do and my minor legacy in my life does matter. And I remember I posted something on Instagram about that because I like thought about that so much this summer and it's like it's actually a really easy like you're taking the easy way out by being like oh I don't matter and like what I do doesn't matter, you know? It's like that of course that alleviates you from any responsibility or taking accountability to just be like oh it doesn't matter anyways like I can't make a difference and no one cares and I don't really matter. It's like how is you believing that you're powerless or that you don't matter or that what you do in your life doesn't make a difference? How is that actually like a self or like a you know like you're more just like alleviating yourself of the strength that it takes to step into like being a responsible accountable person that is a part of the world and that is like taking action in the world or whatever. But yeah, I mean obviously we're all people, we're trying to figure it out, so like be easy on yourself. I know that if you're a perfectionist or if you're somebody that like really is gonna beat themselves up for not being perfect, it's like it's fine, but just make sure that you're like taking little daily steps to try to you know make an impact and it will eventually make a difference and somebody that's like another thing is like you don't have to change the world or like I used to always think that like when I was younger in my journals I'd always be like I want to change the world, like I want to make a difference, and it's like I had this realization at some point in my life where like changing the world like for me my entire world is like my life. So if you're like making an impact for your friend, that is changing their world. If you are giving someone food on the street that didn't have food that day, that is changing their world. You know what I mean? Or providing someone with an opportunity they didn't have before, you are changing the world of a person because that their personal life is their whole world. So just like don't diminish how like little things can make a huge impact. But yeah, I like that we did this episode. It was more heavy, but it was definitely I mean, it was good for us too to learn about like whether our whole ChatGPT podcast was a really negative impact on the environment. And I think us posting this anywhere is going to be just as bad as us using ChatGPT. So, and girl, like, I don't know what to say.
It's fine. It's fine. I think that like just from what we're gonna what we've just like talked about and everything, I think what we're gonna do is just keep going with like giving back in our own little ways. Like maybe we can set like a challenge for ourselves. Like, okay, I feel like I'm on Twitter a lot. So like for the next like week or something, like I'm gonna try to be on Twitter like an hour less than I am. So I'm gonna check my like screen time on Twitter. It's probably gonna be like 5 hours.
Did we go through the individual things? Oh, we did, yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so I'm gonna like, because I'm not on Instagram that much anymore. Like,
yeah, I hated Twitter.
Yeah, like, and I don't have like TikTok. It was like I had the app, but I hadn't been on it in so long that like you now like if you don't have it, you can't re-download it. So
Yeah, I had it on my phone, but I deleted it because I was just like, this is stupid. Like I never would scroll on there or anything. I just like never got into it. But I be on Reels like heavy. Instagram is my most used app. Like I'm on Instagram a lot, but
yeah.
I also use it for work purposes. So I'm trying to grow my photography. But yeah, diminishing screen time. I mean, I deleted Twitter so long ago and I just like have never thought about it. I like had a breaking point, I think, over the summer where I was like, I'm tired of on this app and watching stupid people exchange discourse just to make me mad. And I got so pissed off that I deleted it and I just like literally have not thought about it. Oh my god, I like if I re-downloaded it now, it would be like my dopamine would be through the roof. So if I go like really bad dip, I'll re-download. I'll be like, I need it. But no, I like don't miss it. I literally just get on Reels and Pinterest. I love Pinterest. People do not. It's not gonna. And I still have Tumblr. Sometimes if I get really bored, I scroll on Tumblr. I'm like, this is because Tumblr has like really niche like inspo now. Because like very small, like not that many people post on it, but it has good like art inspo. So, but yeah, Twitter is a killer. Oh my god, I tell you. I'm so out of the loop now. I like just know nothing, and then I don't have a TV, so I don't watch news. So I like just have to hope that like on my YouTube. Oh, YouTube! I'm on YouTube a lot. I just have to hope that something pops up on YouTube that's like this is happening in the world, or like that someone tells me.
That's crazy. Yeah, because you don't really get that much news on Instagram. Like,
No, I mean no, unless people post it on their stories. So I am reliant on those friends that be posting their story. I mean but there is like it's kind of funny because it's like we're also into the whole manifesting you're trying to live your dream life. And if you really watch a lot of creators that talk about that, one of the first thing they say to like knock out like negative energy in your life, they're like cut out toxic people and then don't watch the news because they're like but it is true that like news is like built off like getting negative reactions off people and like feeding like you're not going to get on the news and they're not going to tell you like about all the positive things that exist in your community, right? They're not going to. Sometimes they do, but most of the time it's more like negative things like, oh, a shooting happened down the street and then this happened and then this dog died and then because their whole job is to find like stories that are gonna like get a strong emotional reaction.
yeah.
But it's like there's also a lot of good happening in the world right now. Like I know there's a lot of bad happening, but there are also a lot of good things happening in the world. And like, you're just maybe not spotlighted like negative. Our brains are more attracted to like negative things, but I'm sure there's a lot of positive movements happening as well. And it's like you can focus on that also. But yeah, anyways, we've learned a lot. Now I feel all this pressure. I'm tired.
No.
Life is boring.
Well, that concludes our Let's Chat GPT episode. Thanks, guys, for joining in.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we love you, and we'll be back soon.
Yeah. Bye.